I'm here today with Ian Day, the CEO of CODA New South Wales. Thank you very much for joining us, Ian.
Pleasure, Toby. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. So, we know that we've just had the first federal budget released under the Turnbull government, and we're now heading into the federal election campaign.
Yep.
In that budget, we know that there are a few cuts to the aged care sector. How do you think that those cuts will affect older Australians?
Certainly our early advice from the providers in particular is that the cuts are not minor, they're major. And a number of those providers are concerned about their ability to survive in the longer term. We are talking about over $1 billion worth of cuts. The concern I have is that those cuts seem to be aimed at the high care or the complicated and the complicated end of the scale, and that worries us because more and more people are going into residential aged care with far higher needs than they used to in the past. So what's happening is these people will have less ability or less opportunity for the services that they require.
We've got $102 million going to help providers in rural and remote areas, $136 million going to the My Aged Care contact centre rollout, $10 million for unannounced compliance site visits. So that's about $250 million or $248 million of a $1.2 billion savings. Where's the rest to help older Australians, or what else do you think, or does CODA New South Wales think we could be doing better?
Yeah, well, I think obviously the answer to your first part of the question is the over $1 billion that's been saved is not being ploughed back into aged care. Some of it might be, but there is a lot of money going back to consolidated revenue. Are there areas that actually need specific improvement in aged care? Absolutely. And I think one of the critical ones is the level of awareness that the consumers have, the patients, the residents, those people that are receiving care, the lack of knowledge they have about what's available and about how the system works. And there is a real need for a consumer-based or an improvement in the consumer-based level of education and understanding of what aged care is all about. Research that we've done would show that the My Aged Care website is probably the most difficult and confusing government website in Australia.
Before the election campaign was announced, and now that it has been announced, we've heard lots of comments about tinkering with superannuation, and we've heard comments about tinkering with pension and tinkering with tax thresholds and housing policies, which each seem to be, I guess, paying a token level of respect to what these sources of income mean for older Australians.
Yep.
In your view and the view of CODA New South Wales, what should be done to improve the standing of?
Well, I think it's important. You've used the word tinkering, and it's a word I totally agree with, because it has been a little bit of this and a little bit of that. In the first instance, if we're going to look at incomes in retirement, we need to look at the full gamut. And we need to look at pensions, we need to look at superannuation, we need to look at tax benefits and tax incentives, we need to look at the family home, which is part of it, etc. All of those things need to be looked at in total. We also need to look at the issue of the age where you get access to the age pension. Great idea that everybody should be working to 70, and I put my hands up and say, yes, I'd like to be working to 70. But what happened to the guy who was laid off at 55 and because of age discrimination will never get a job? He has no access to anything other than Newstart for the next 20 years or 15 years. By the time he reaches a time when he can actually access the age pension, he's had to sell down his house, he's had to access any superannuation he had, he's basically broke. So we've got an assumption that people will work to 70, but there is no consideration that there's actually jobs for people that want to work to 70. So we need to be working at that level as well. So coming back to the issue of income in retirement, given that there is jobs available up to 70, after that time, how do all the things interact rather than just tinkering with super and just tinkering with tax incentives, etc., etc.